much. Welcome in, everybody. I am thrilled to have you here. We are going to have so much fun in this hour. I hope I get a chance to teach you something new about your Cricut machine. If you're new and just getting started with your Cricut machine, I do want to encourage you to step back after the class and watch some of our previous classes, like our Cricut 101 and our Cricut 102, where we really do a deeper dive in design space. So if you find that you maybe aren't as familiar with things in design space as far as a software program goes, those are great classes that are recorded on the Michael's YouTube channel, and you can go back and watch those at any point in time, just like this class. So welcome in. It's a three-part class. So the first part, I'm just going to do a presentation and talk about some of the materials and working with design space. Then we're going to dive in and work in design space. And the last step, we're going to assemble the project. So it's kind of three parts. Excuse me, the first part, I invite you to just grab a notebook and take notes. If you have questions, we'll be able to answer those once we go into design space and the overhead. And I will try and keep my eye on that chat once I get out of the presentation part of the class so that I can do that. And I'm really excited to have you here. Please feel free to turn on your camera. You do not have to have like the perfect workspace or anything like that, but I'm at home working in my basement, and this is my way to get out in the world and see everybody. So happy and welcome to have you here. Let's go ahead and dive right into that presentation. I'll share my screen with you. So this is the Cricut Mother's Day Spa Kit class to give mom the royal treatment. In this class, we're going to be working with a material called acetate. And it's a clear material that we'll be making this little box with and filling it up with some of mom's favorite things. So I kind of came up with a list of ideas of things you can put in a spa kit for your mom or for yourself or a daughter, neighbor, anybody who's a mom or mom-like. So maybe a natural body scrub, a bath bomb, soap, bath salts, candle, something sweet, a lotion or an oil. And I have to say that when my kids were little, I loved all the kits that Michael's had. Like you could get kits to make bath bombs or soaps, stuff like that was always so fun. So if you have little ones at home, maybe you can get one of those kits and work up some of the supplies that go in your spa package. Now, the Cricut acetate, there's two different varieties of acetate. There's a clear acetate sheet like this one, and then there is foil acetate. And the foil acetate, I think there's 4 different packages of foil acetate. Each kit comes with 6 acetate sheets that are 12 by 12. You can emboss on these, you can cut them, you can stamp, and you can even paint on these transparent sheets. You can also add vinyl to them to make like a frame if you wanted to. They're really, really super versatile. And it's a fun material to sort of get you outside of the box. So if you're a paper crafter and you just kind of like want to spread your wings and try something new, the acetate is a great material to just kind of practice with something that's pretty forgivable. You can also use this with all of your Cricut cutting machines. So whether you're joining me with a Joy, an Explorer, or a Maker, it just takes your fine point tool to cut the materials. And we'll be using the scoring wheel if you're on a Maker, or the scoring stylus if you're on an Explorer. And if you're using a Cricut Joy, you can just do the scoring lines by hand. So I'll show you how to do that when we get there. So a few tips for working with acetate. The acetate sheets come with a removable film on the back of the foil acetate sheet. Now, most of the back, you can tell it's the back of your acetate if it's got a decorative pattern to it, because it'll have a silver back side to it. So when you first, what you want to do is you want to remove that protective sheet, and then you place your acetate sheet onto your standard grip mat. Now, you want to do it with the foil side up if we're using the foil to get the best results. So you'll take off that protective sheet and then put it onto your mat with that side that you just took the protective sheet off of facing up. When you're scoring the foil acetate sheets, if you're using one of the older Cricut Explore machines, the 2 or older, you might want to repeat the score lines with a hand score afterwards. And that's only because like the maker puts more pressure on the machine. So sometimes you need a little bit of extra pressure. I have not found that to be the case, but if your scoring lines really aren't as defined as you'd like them to be, you can just use your scoring tool and go back and add those lines again. Now, what types of adhesive can you use on acetate? It's a clear material, so you can't just use any type of adhesive. Like if you used Elmer's glue, it would definitely show through. I did find in all my testing that using a tape adhesive was the best. Sometimes the glue adhesive, even if it dried clear, didn't quite dry. Some of it just didn't dry, and so it never glued together. The E6000 glue was the only liquid glue that I really got to give a good adhesion. But the adhesive tape, the double-sided adhesive tape from Recollections that looks like this, is a great adhesive tape to use. And then also a low temperature glue gun you can use. And that gives you like the quick adhesive. So I do like that. I do like that material, like that type of adhesive. But you want to make sure that it's a low temperature so you don't burn into your adhesive, your acetate sheet. So the first part is step 1 is finding your image. Cricut has in Design Space with Cricut Access a very large variety of images. So the one of the ways I like to sort of narrow down my choices is to use image sets. And there are quite a few image sets for different box type materials, 3D boxes, if you will. My favorite, I tend to gravitate towards this one called Tags, Bags, Boxes, and More, number 2. There's like over 300, I think, different, or close to 300, maybe it's like 250 different images in that collection. So I can usually find something I like in there. There's also the holiday gift boxes, fancy boxes, box it up, and scoring wheel boxes. So as you're starting to work with boxes and building things in 3D, these are just some image sets that you can start with and browse around and find one you like. Today, I'll be using this box with the handle #M30B5B, and we're going to resize that to an 11.5-inch size box. And I'll show you how to do that so we can do that together. Then the next part, so once you found your image, part 2 is to cut your acetate. Now we're going to be cutting on, I have my Maker 3 set up today, but again, no matter which machine you're joining me from, you'll be able to cut the acetate using the fine point blade. I do use a brayer tool to put my acetate on my cutting mat to make sure it has a good hold. And then I follow the steps in Design Space by knowing when to put in my scoring tool and when to have my fine point blade in. So we'll get to walk through that when we go into Design Space. Now, if you're on a Maker, you have the option to use the scoring wheel, and you'll see right here, it's got the number 1 on it. And that's how you know you've got the scoring wheel versus the rotary cutter wheel. You can also use the scoring stylus on the Maker or the Explore machines. The only machine that doesn't allow the scoring is the Joy. And again, I'll show you how to add your score lines manually. But if you're using the scoring tool, you would simply put that in clamp A. If you're using the scoring wheel on your Maker, you would put that in clamp B. And if you don't have either of those tools, don't worry, I'm going to again show you how to do it manually. Now we do have some more upcoming classes. And I missed a step. I think I missed a step. Step 3 is the assembly of the project, which sort of goes back to the glue and how we put it all together. But that is step 3. I think I missed my slide there. And I want to let you know we have some upcoming classes through May. We have a design space training class on working with text. We have the 5 essentials for a pool day, which we'll be using iron-on vinyl and adhesive vinyl. And then a class that we've gotten so many requests for is a print then cut class. You will not want to miss that class at the end of May. And if you have more questions or you want to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. So if I don't get to your questions during the class, or you want to share your project with me, please do tag me in your projects, as well as Cricut with Michaels on your projects in Instagram. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this, and now we're going to go into design space. Before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the tools. So the adhesive I have, and I put in my little tape holder, it's the double-sided adhesive. Now, you can use any type of clear adhesive tape. So even I think Scotch has a double-sided adhesive tape. And we're going to put that on the acetate. Now, you can see it a little bit, but when you use one of the, like if we're using one of the printed types, the foil acetate, you really can't see any adhesive once you've put it together. And I do have a low temperature glue gun there. The acetate, whether you're using the patterned acetate or the solid acetate, that's fine. And this is the brayer tool. Did I mention that already? This is the brayer tool. And honestly, I have used my Cricut machine for years and years and years and never had one of these. And I finally got one from someone's suggestion. It was a game changer. So it's really awesome you can even use a rolling pin. So if you don't have a brayer, you can use a rolling pin or anything like that. It's just really good tool to help you get your material to adhere to your mat so it doesn't slip on your mat when you're working. And then I have some goodies to fill up my little acetate box with on the side. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into design space. So if you're crafting along with me, go ahead and open your design space and start a new canvas. So I'm going to go back over here to my home screen and I'll start a new canvas. Now, I do have this as a project that I've saved. I don't know if it's shareable. Let me just double check that I've shared it with everybody. Anytime you make a project and someone's like, oh, that is super cute. How did you make that? I want to make that. You can save your project and then share your project with anybody. Let me see. It doesn't say, let me just double check that I made this edit project details. I may not be being patient enough because I don't have my. Okay. It should tell me I can share it with anybody. So I'll go ahead and share the, oh, they changed it. How about that? They changed that. All right, I'm going to copy this link and I'll add this. I guess that just happened with the latest update. If anybody needs to, you can click on that project. If you want to skip some of the steps of finding the image and things like that, you can click on that project. Now, when you click on the project, it actually takes you to a web page, and then you just have to say, I accept the terms and click OK, and then it will open your design space. So if you want to jump ahead and follow some steps, you can do that. Otherwise, let's go ahead to a new canvas, and you're just going to start with a new canvas. And the first thing we're going to do is find an image to work with. So we're just going to go in your design panel here on the left-hand side, click images, and you can do a keyword search for the image. And this is box with handle is the image we're looking for. And you'll see a lot of different boxes pop up that you can use. If you wanted to, you can click on those three little dots there in the upper right corner and make sure that you have the right box. You can also choose, whatever box you'd like to use to cut out if you'd like to do a different box. Now, if you want to see, I mentioned that there are image sets. And if you've never explored the image sets, let me show you what you can do. If you click on View Image Sets, you can go into this set of images and you'll see all the different images that are available with this set. And it has, seasonal little titles that you can use for cards or other boxes, like in the winter. Here's a little snowflake box. So you can come back to the set frequently and find a lot of different images you can use. And then you just go back to your images and then select the image you want to work with. So I'll be using this box right here, and we're going to add it to our canvas. Now, this is a larger box, so you'll notice it comes in two pieces. And we're going to have to glue those two pieces together. So I wanted to make this as big as possible. And your machine will cut 11.5 inches wide using a mat. So you have to put the acetate on a mat. So we're going to enlarge this. And if we take the height to 11.5 inches, it will enlarge both pieces. So if you want to watch me do that first, I'm going to keep my proportions locked and I'm changing my height to 11.5. So now it changes both pieces to 11.5 inches tall. And that's the biggest that I can get for these boxes. And it will put it on two separate mats. Now, if you're working with Cricut Joy, the widest you can go, or the tallest you could go, would be 4.5 inches in height. So you would want to change your height to 4.5 inches and you'd get like a cute little box, probably not big enough to hold everything you'd want to put in there, but you could definitely get like a bar of soap or some little bath salts, and you can make maybe a few of these and put it in a bigger basket and just put your bath salts in there. So I'm going to go back and change it to 11.5 for anybody using the Maker or Explore. So the biggest size is 11.5 inches. And you'll see here, it's got these little side tabs, and that's where we will glue those together. Now you'll also notice in the design that these I don't know what you call those dotted lines there, those represent the scoring lines. So as I'm cutting, or before I cut, the machine will draw these scoring lines using your scoring stylus. So if you didn't have a scoring stylus or you wanted to skip this step, you completely could. If you're using a Cricut Joy, it will say that this design is incompatible because you can't score on a Cricut Joy. So what you would do is just hide those lines by like doing the eye here, and you can hide those lines, and then it won't do the score lines and it'll be compatible. So you just need to change your size again if you're on a Cricut Joy, and then it's compatible. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead and just resize it. That's all we have to do. If you wanted to cut this out of, okay, so if you're just using acetate, the acetate paper, then you don't need to do anything else. If you are cutting this out of cardstock and maybe you want to add a little window in there, or in the future, if you wanted to add a little window in your box, what you could do is add a shape like an oval and resize it to fit in the window to create like a little window. And we would just slice this out of this side. So you could just take this, your side here, and choose the box itself and your oval shape. Hold those together. So let's see, these are grouped together. Let me ungroup these. And this, we're not going to cut it this way, but I just want to show you, this is like a little advanced trick for next time. So just grab this side, hold the shift key down and click on your oval shape, and then you can slice. And what that will do is it will slice out that little a window out of the side of the box. And then you could put acetate behind that, and you would just have a box with a little window in it. So kind of another fun way to use this box. Okay, so now we've resized it 11.5 inches tall, and we're going to make it. And let me just go back. The reason these are all grouped together is so that your scoring lines will draw or score on the box piece itself. So you want to make sure that they're still grouped together like that. So now we're just going to do make it, and it sends me over to my cutting mat, and it shows me that I have it on two different mats. So I have one mat which cuts the front and a side, and another mat which cuts the back and a side. And you can see it has my scoring lines on there as well. Now, again, I said I was using a maker. So when I say continue, it'll come over to my maker, and you can choose which type of acetate you're using. So I've already made the foil acetate and the regular acetate my favorites. But if this is your first time using acetate, you would just click on the browse materials, and then you would search for acetate in the keyword search box here and type enter, and the 2 different types of acetate pop up. And then you just click on which type of acetate you're using. So I'm going to use the clear acetate for this, for my box itself. We'll just use the clear one instead of the foil one. And I want to remember my settings so it will cut the same settings both times. Now, because I'm using a maker and I have a scoring wheel, it tells me to load my scoring wheel. If you're using a maker and you don't have a scoring wheel, you need to edit tools. And then you would just choose the scoring stylus instead of the scoring wheel, and you would apply that, and it will tell you to load the scoring wheel in clamp A, the fine point in clamp B, and load your mat. If you're on a maker, it will tell you to load your scoring stylus. If you're on an Explore, it will tell you to load your scoring stylus in clamp A, your fine point in clamp B, and load your mat. So I'm going to be using my scoring wheel on this box. Okay, so then it tells me then next after my scoring wheel, I'll need to load my fine point blade. And my light is flashing on my maker. I can see it over there. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and we'll go to my overhead camera. There we go. All right. So here's my overhead camera. Now I've decided to use, I have the different sheets of the foil acetate. It's so pretty and fun to work with, but I think I'm going to use the solid color acetate, the plain acetate for my box. Should I do that, or should I make it fun? Like this is one I did out of a fun acetate. Maybe, you know what? I think I'm going to change that. I said I was going to do the solid one. I'm going to change that to this one here. This is a fun one here. So let me open up this package. This is the Love Notes sampler, which is fun to use during Valentine's Day and make little gift boxes for your sweethearts. Always a fun thing to do. But it also, I think, is good for Mother's Day. It's got like some polka dots, and you have some hearts. So I'm going to use the heart one here. Let's see. Let's say that. Those are different. I need 2 of the same sheet, so I may have to have 2 packages of these open because this has a lot of different ones. Okay, scratch that because I need to use, sorry, everybody. I need to use 2 of the same sheet. So you would just have 2 packages. And I don't know if I have a second one handy. I don't have a second one handy. So I'm going to go back to my original plan and use the plain acetate one. Now, with any of these, whether you're using the plain acetate or the pattern acetate, you do need to remove your that clear plastic piece. So what I like to do is I like to have my mat ready to go so that when I remove that plastic piece, I can remember which side I need to put up on my mat. So I'll take my weeding tool and I'll kind of feel along, and you can see that I easily found the film, and now I can just peel that off, and I'm going to put it with this side up. I'm going to peel my piece off there, and then we're going to apply that to your cutting mat, and I'm using this standard grip mat. I think you could do the light grip mat as well. It would hold it fine. I actually did do it with the light grip mat and it was fine. So, but I do want to use my brayer because I don't want my material to slide around. It's going to do the scoring lines and then it's going to do the cut lines, and I don't want it to slide around on me. So I have my scoring wheel ready to go, and that's the first piece I need to have in my machine. So I'll go ahead and slide that in. And for me on a maker, this goes in clamp B. If you're using your scoring stylus, this just goes into clamp A. And you just push it down until you hear it click. I don't know if that worked. Let me just see that click. And then you just close that up and you'd have your fine point here, and you don't have to change out any of your blades. So I'm going to slide this in and load it. So what it does, yeah.
Can you bring your overview camera up a little bit so they can see a little bit more of the buttons that you're clicking on your Cricut?
Oh, yes. You know what? Let me slide my, thank you very much, Felicia. I had my other machine on my table, and let me just slide this forward. How's that?
That's perfect.
Okay, great. Sorry about that, guys. That's why it's great to have all of our helpers on the back side. Okay, so first it's going to calibrate, or not calibrate, but it's going to check and make sure that I have my scoring wheel in my holder. And it says, yep, she does. So now it's going to go ahead and score that. If anybody has any questions while this is cutting away, please do feel free to ask, and I'll, I can answer those as we move along. So now it's done all the scoring and it's telling me I'm ready for the next step. And if I looked at Design Space, it would say to remove my scoring tool and put in my blade. So I just now put in my fine point blade and I hit the go button again, and it's going to go. And I love, we were just talking about the tool holder for the maker before the class started, how easy it is to keep everything together in this. It just opens up and I can store all of my different blades and my tips right in there. And I don't have to worry about them rolling around on my desk, which usually happens. All right. Where do you get the machine from? Michael sells all the different Cricut machines. So they have the Maker 3s, the Maker Explorer and Explorer 3, as well as the Cricut Joy. So, and they have all like the different mats and the tools and everything you need to make these projects. It's so satisfying to watch it cut out. I love this. while this is cutting, when you discussed slicing a shape out of the box, you said hit shift. Is that how you slice out shape? Oh, Julie, good question. Slice is one of the actions in Design Space. When you hold your shift key, if you're working on your desktop or laptop and you click one layer and you hold the shift key, it allows you to select a second layer. And so you need to select both the box and the shape. And then you hit slice in the actions. So I use my keyboard to make it a little bit easier. It's just a shortcut to holding the shift key down. So here's my first piece. My first layer is cut out, and I'll set this aside and put on my second layer. So again, I just need to find that, find my side that has the protective sleeve on it. Use my weeding tool to pull that off. Oh. Wait a minute. Am I doing this? Is there a protective sleeve on both sides? Oh
Yes,
my goodness.
there is.
There is a protective sleeve on both sides. Okay, so I'm just gonna have to go back and find that protective sleeve.
That
on
is
this
so
side.
that it protects the acetate from scratches prior to cutting.
I love that. I didn't know, you know what? I was like, oh, I guess it's just dirty. Now I've made so many projects and only peeled it off of one side. Is that, Anita, is that also on the foil acetate? It has the protective sleeve
Yes.
on. Okay, guys. See, even the teacher learns something new every day. I love it. It's like Shrinky Dink. This is very much like Shrinky Dink film. So if you've ever wondered if you can cut Shrinky Dink film with your maker or your other Cricut machines, you can. Which is really fun. Okay, so now I'm going to put this back in for my second cut, and I'll use my scoring blade here. So I'm going to slide that in. And while that's cutting, I'm going to take this off. Okay, so I hope, Julia, that answered your question. So when you're doing slice, you select both of your layers, and slice only works in Design Space with 2 layers. So you can only slice 2 layers at a time. Look at that, it's so pretty. Okay, I'm amazed. It makes it even prettier. So that's how you do slice. So I'm using a Maker 3, and it only gives me the option of 12 by 19 or 12 by 24. How do I change it to 12 by 12? If you have, let's see, I don't think I can show you. Underneath each one, you have to change your material to 12 by 12, but you may check the size of your piece, because I'm guessing maybe you resized it bigger than an 11.5-inch height. And that's why it's telling you to use a larger piece of material. Yes, Nicole, take the film off before you cut it. The settings on the, I think the settings on the machine are for after you've taken off the film. But obviously I just cut it with only one side taken off, and I've been doing it like that for months. So it does cut even if you have the film on it. For the clear acetate, what will you place on the oval you sliced? So if I had sliced out, if I were cutting this out of cardstock and I sliced that oval out of the center there, I would put acetate behind that slice, and then it would be like a little window box it would be a little window into whatever I put in the packaging. So So that I would, if I were cutting that oval, I would cut my big pieces out of cardstock. Now, while that's doing the last cutting, I am going to go ahead and start folding my acetate. And you don't really have to, I do fold carefully because it can crack. Like it can, your score line it's fragile, so you don't want to be like super aggressive with it. But you also want a nice crisp line. So you fold it enough that you get a crisp line to your piece. Okay, there's one side, it's all folded up. My other side just finished cutting. I'm going to unload my machine. Now you'll notice I always turn my mat over and remove my material from my mat like this. So I'm actually removing the mat from the material. Part of that is when I use paper, the mat can curl your paper. So I find doing it this way really keeps my material flat. Let me do it this way. So I always, it's just always my habit to turn my mat upside down and remove my material from my mat that way. So I just go like that. Now I just can add my score lines to, I've got my score lines on there. Now I can just score this. Now, if you were wondering how to do those score lines without, let me just get my sleeve here. If you were wondering how to get your score lines without having, without doing it on your machine, like if you were using a Joy or something like that, my trick to doing that is I actually use, everything seems so sticky today. I actually use my mat and I use the edge of my mat to give some depth on my, between my material that I'm scoring and my work surface. And then I just take my stylus, and you can do this with the back of your weeding tool. You can even do it with your fingernail, a credit card, something that is not super sharp, like you wouldn't want to use a pair of scissors. But you want to use something that's kind of round, and you just go along where your score line should be and add the score line that way. So if you didn't have a stylus, you could just use the back of your weeding tool, your fingernail, a credit card, even a fingernail file. I've done it with that before. Okay, so let me slide this back down. Now I'm going to just add my fold lines here. I'm just folding right along those lines. Like crunching going on. Okay. Now the side here with the arch, there's no fold on there. That one will just kind of will hover over, so it won't actually fold over. Okay, so I have these two pieces, and what we need to do is adhere them together in the center so that my two sides are lined. I'll have the front, a side, the back, and a side in a piece. Now I like to look at it and see where I want to put my adhesive so it goes on the outermost edge. So I'm going to put my adhesive on the outer edge of this piece and apply this on top of that piece there to put so it'll hold that spot. I just take this is the double-sided tape, and I think it's Recollections brand. So one side of it is sticky and one side has this red covering on it. And the good thing about that is that it allows you to put it down and get it down however you want it to be placed down. And this isn't sticky yet. You have to actually remove that red film and then you expose the other side of the stickiness. So you just peel that red film back and now that's sticky. So then I just bring my piece back over and I line up those edges, and you can even, hold it back. If you've got a mat with your guides on it, it makes it super easy to line up on there too. So I'm just going to bring that over and match up my edges and fold that down. And then again, I'll just use my brayer to make sure it sticks. Now you can see that tape, but because it's clear, it doesn't really show up too much. So it's really, you really don't see it too much. And if somebody looks at your craft project that closely, that's on them. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing on this open side. Put your adhesive on this open side here, and we'll just close up the box like that. So we put this on here. Okay. So the tape is really thick. So I like my holder because it holds it in place, but I do have to use my scissors to cut it off. All right, so now we just line that back up. And just a little hair more. Okay, so I've got that lined up on that edge there. And then I can peel it back. Now, if you have a hard time finding it and peeling it back, you can use your weeding tool again to grasp that little bit of red tape and pull that off, I think. Yep, that'll work. How about that? This weeding tool really is a double duty tool. You can do so much with it. There we go. All right, so now I've got that, and I'm going to walk over my other side and line up the fold here with the edge of my tape there. There we go there. Now I've got my box. You can see my shape is coming together, and I just need to push in the last pieces on the inside. So to do that, it'll notch kind of together here and here. So what you're going to do is, it's hard to see this because it's clear, but you have one flap here. A better way to show it. This flap has a cutout that kind of dips down, and this side goes up. So you push in the two side pieces go in first, and then the flap with the that cutout part goes down next, and then this last piece tucks in, and it should hold it all together. Let's see. Tuck out my little flaps there. So I've pulled it down, this piece down, and these little pieces are tucking out. And then this last piece tucks inside. I think, or did I do that wrong? I think I did that wrong. Let me see. All right, so your insides go first and then your back flap is last. And if you wanted to, you could just use some of your extra tape and tape that down so it doesn't move, it's not going to move on you, but it's pretty sturdy there. It's going to hold together. And then the top pieces, you want to put your hold your top handles together, and they slide into the little hoops here. This. And there's your box. Now we can start loading in all your little Mother's Day goodies in there. And if you wanted to also give it a little bit more stability on the bottom, you could cut a piece of cardstock about 6 inches by 4.5. Let's just do that, and we'll give it a little bit more stability. I'll show you what that would look like. Let's do a little 6 inch by 4.5 inch. And this could be where you write your message. Mom, I hope you have a good, relaxing day. Thank you so much, or whatever you wanted to write onto there, you could do that. And if you made this smaller, you could put in a few, you could just to put your bath salts right into the container. You could just pour them right into there as a base. It's fun. All right. So now I'm just going to put, I have a little bar of soap to put in there for my mom. I have a candle and a bath bomb. I mean, yeah, that's a bath. I was like, what is that? It's a bath bomb. Let me just grab my towel for her. You can, adding a little face cloth, a fresh new face cloth in there is nice. So you just grab, and if you wanted to, you could put her initials on the face cloth with iron-on vinyl. You could just add her name onto the towel. So we're just going to set that in there. One. The other one. So we really want mom to pamper herself. All right. You know, Nicole, that's a great question. Does the acetate show fingerprints and smudges? You would think it would, but it really doesn't. I was like, oh, am I gonna have to clean it with, if you have kids put it together, would you need to clean it or anything like that? And you really don't. It goes right in, and you don't see smudges on it. Let's add another candle there. There we go. Now, if you wanted to, you could add a little tag onto the package, and I can show you how we can cut out, how we can make a cute little tag like that Happy Mother's Day on the inside there. You can see, oops. You may want to use some sticky dots to kind of keep things in place, like a professional packaging. And put some little Hershey Kisses in there so she can have some chocolate while she's relaxing in the tub. And the fun thing about these little packages, you could make them for like a foot spa day or anything like that. All right, so let me just show you how I made that little tag, my Happy Mother's Day tag. So I'll go back into Design Space and share that with you. We go here. Okay. So we're done cutting. So I'm going to hide this. I'll just cross the I so I hide that. And I'm going to go into images and I'll do a keyword search for Happy Mother's Day. And I'm going to filter that and use the free tab there to filter it. When you resize the images, did you resize them to 11.5 as a group or individually? I resized them as a group. That's a great question, because what I noticed was the one with this flap here is a little bit bigger than this one. So when I resized them individually, the upper portion of it changed altogether. So they come on your canvas as a group, and all you just have to do is hit that height change and change it to 11.5 inches, and that changes that height. So this is a fun little Mother's Day tag that writes and then cuts out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose a shape like a circle, and I'll change that to a 3.5 inch circle. So I get a nice size on it. And then I will, these are 3 different colored pens, but I'm just going to change them to a single color. And I'll use a fine point tip. I know I'm doing this quickly. This is being recorded, so you'll be able to go back and watch it. This is a little extra piece of the class here. And you'll notice that it will cut out the whole shape here. So if you just wanted to add the written words to a circle tag, let me put that circle down below. If you just wanted to add these written words to a circle tag, you don't want it to cut around the shape. So you can just hide that basic cut layer. So you have the written words here. So it'll just do the writing part of it and not cut it. And I'll need to change this so the width of it is about 3 1/4 inches. And we'll center those together so that the phrase goes right in the middle of, right in the middle of my circle there. And then I'll use the circle as a tag. Let me align that again. Align center. So when you have 2 layers that you've selected and you want them to line up, one to line up perfectly on the other one, you select both of those layers by clicking off the canvas and then dragging around both layers. And you say align center, and it aligns that right in the center. I am going to actually push it down a little bit like that. Okay, so I'll be duplicating this one. So I have a back tab, and you'll see why in a second. And then I'll have this one, we'll write and cut in a circle, and I'll just cut this in a circle. When you add writing to a shape, you must attach those 2 shapes together. Otherwise, the writing will go on its own mat. So I select both the writing and the circle, and I go to my action panel and say attach. So now those are attached together, and I click make it. So now I'll have one circle that's just plain as my backing and one circle that will write Happy Mother's Day. And I just say continue. And this will go over to my machine. So let me open up my machine again. Okay, so let's go. And I'll be using medium cardstock. And it says to load my raspberry pen and then my fine point blade. So let me stop showing there. And I think this will be big enough. I hope so. You know what, let me just get a fresh piece of paper. I have a nice little light purple here that I'll use to sort of match my soap color. Now, since I am using cardstock, I'll use that on the light grip mat instead of the standard grip mat because I don't want it to get stuck down there. So I'll put that on the light grip mat. And then I have the collection of pens here so I can kind of do a little test and see which color pen I'd like to use on this paper, which one looks best. That one looks really pretty. Okay, so I'll put my pen into clamp A. As you hear, it clicks down. And then I've got my fine point blade in there, and it will just cut this for me. Put that in. I had my bath salts. I was going to put those in a little baggie to put into the container. All right. Not see very many questions coming out. You guys either Anita's doing a phenomenal job answering them all, as always. Now, oops, I'll have to wait for that. So it'll do the cut, it'll do the drawing first, and then it will do the cutting portion of it. And I should show you in the project I shared, I did make a belly band for my soap out of acetate, and it's just a little, it just wraps around your soap, but it comes, so it cuts like this. Can you see that? It has like a half circle and a half circle, and then I added the tag onto the belly band, and then when I wrap it around the soap, it has like a little notch right at that where the oval is, and they notch together, and they'll make like a cute little wrap. So you can even take like just a bar of Dove soap or whatever your favorite soap is and make it fancy. Like that. So we just made that fancy. I love that. I love taking something, normal and household itemish and just adding a little touch to making it a little fancy. All right, here we go. So now we have that cute little label for Mom. And the reason I did two, one has the saying on it, and I wanted to attach to my acetate, to my little box here. I wanted to attach my label. So I'm going to put that, I'll put it back together again, and I'll just take a little piece of ribbon and put that through the holder. And I can just adhere the ribbon into the center of this, into the center, and have the little tails hang out. Maybe I want to need that a little bit longer. Maybe I'll do this green one. I'm sure like all of us, sometimes crafting, it's more about the stash you have. And it's always good to go into your stash and make something using materials you have for a project that you just maybe didn't do yet. So I have a stash of ribbons, and I always love being able to go in and using them. So I'm going to put that on there and put it between the two circles. So all I have to do is put that on, and then I'll use some of my double-sided tape here to hold it.
Hesley, while you're doing that, what is the image that you searched for the belly band on the soap?
You know what, that I made there. If you do an image for soap wrap, there are images in Design Space that are for wrapping soap. Like there's one with the star and the circle. The one, it was too small for my soap that I had. So I had to find, I made my own belly band size. But if you use the project link that I shared, and I can share that again, or if you just go to my portfolio and look at my projects, this is the soap from Whole Foods, those bins of scented soaps, and they don't have any packaging on them. So I love those. Does that answer that question? I tried to use the one that was in Design Space, but when I changed the size, I didn't like how it changed the oval. So I just made my own, which is in my project. Look for soap wrap I'll show you. I did a search for soap wrap in Design Space, and that's where I found the soap wrap came up. And there we go. So now we're just going to add that little tag right onto our packaging, just like that. And you can put in whatever you want to put in your package. You can stuff it full of all kinds of goodies. Socks, I said, was a good one. Let me show you. We have just a second. Oh, no, we don't have a second. Felicia, I'm just going to take one more second and show them how I found that belly band. And then,
no problem. And while you're doing that, someone's asking, where did you get your pen holder?
My pen. Oh, that is the pen holder is the Cricut. It's the container. It comes like this. It comes in the packaging like this, and it actually comes in an acetate box. So it comes with all the different colors in it as one. Now, if you want to find the image, if you go to images and do, I think it was soap wrap is what I looked up for my, nope, it wasn't soap wrap. It was soap, nope, oh, I'm looking in free images, that's why. Okay, let me try that again. Soap wrap. And here we go. So you can see right here, this one, this purple one. And then there's this is the one with the circle here. So this is called rabbit wrap. And if you view image sets from here, you'll see all these different kinds of wraps that you can do. And there's even some cute little boxes in here. But these are great. You could do these for napkins. If you wanted to do the little belly band around a face cloth and say like wash up or anything like that, you can do that on any of those. So that was one of them. There are more, there are more in here. Let's go back to the images because see, they have the star one here. This is called the star wrap. Then there's this flower one. So there's all kinds of different images in the wraps, bird wrap that you can find. And that's what I did. But then I didn't like how it, I threw it away. But it just, I didn't, the cameras, sorry, let me go back here. The way that when I enlarged it, I didn't care for how the oval, my little oval changed. So let's see if I can slide this back out. So I just made it, I just recreated the wrap so that my circles were the same size. Because when I enlarged it, I don't know, it just didn't look right. So I changed it. But if you go to my profile, if you in Design Space, show you one real quick. If you go into Design Space and you want to find somebody, you just go to like the home screen and you can do a search for somebody's name. So my name is spelled Kesley. I think I'm the only Kesley in Design Space, but you'll see my images, if any images that the person has shared, the projects they've shared, and then the community members. So you just would go to my community page and all my projects that I've shared are in the community page here. So here's the Mother's Day bin. And then that does have the belly band in it. So you can just go to that project. I've shared that project out and you can make that yourself. Let me find that. Here we go. There it is. And then I have the Mother's Day design I did on top of that. So thank you guys so much. That was a lot of information. I hope you all are inspired. I want to see what you create. Please. Oh, look, Teresa did it. Teresa, good job. Anybody else make it? They want to share? I've got mine. I can share mine. I love it. All right, guys, well, have a fabulous day. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. And my name again, Lisa, is Kesley Anderson, Kesley. Don't let that trip you up when you're looking for the image. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.